Hey folks, I'm Chris and I'm your Commander Mechanic, and welcome to another quarterly Commander Roundtable. I'm joined by some fantastic guests to celebrate the release of Dominaria United, the latest set for Magic the Gathering. I do want to remind everybody that tonight is a charity event. We are going to be raising donations for the Trevor Project. You can hit Command Donate in chat in order to donate. And if you donate in $5 increments for every $5 you donate, you'll be entered into a draw to win some incredible prizes, ranging from Infinitokens prize packs to Infinity pin sets, to playmats donated by our own Schmandrew, to Dominaria United Commander Precons as well. Do donate and be sure to stay tuned for the end of the panel where we will be doing those drawings. Without further ado, we have some fantastic people here tonight. I am going to throw it to everybody. And Jake, we're going to start with you, frequent collaborator here on the round tables. But who are you? Where can we find you? And special question for tonight, how many times have you visited Dominaria?
I love that question, by the way. Hey, everyone. It's Casual Jake, the savior of Pioneer, a casual commander connoisseur, and I am so glad to be here for another roundtable. By day, I am a choir teacher. By passion, I am a Magic the Gathering content creator. You can catch me on all the socials, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, casual_Jake_, where I do weekly Pioneer videos. I do commander streams and sometimes other fun stuff on Twitch. And yeah, I'm so glad to be here. This is only my second time on Dominaria, the first time being the Dominaria set. I think in 2000, I'm going to mess this up, but the one that happened right after Ixalan, because that's when I started playing.
Right. Awesome. So Dominaria is kind of like your home plane, your first introduction to Magic, right?
So it was Ixalan that was my first, but very soon going to Dominaria. That was the first time I really got into constructed play, and I started going to my LGS, right? Ixalan kind of introduced me to playing the game, and then Dominaria was like, cool, I'm going to my LGS, I'm playing standard, and I'm getting my butt handed to me every week, but I am loving every minute of it. What's this Teferi guy, and why does everyone hate him? Oh yeah, that's why.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us again, Jake. Andrew, who are you? Where can we find you? And how many times have you visited Dominaria?
I'm Andrew, or Schmandrew Art on the internet. I am an artist and illustrator. I've done one of the Magic comic book covers for the 5th issue. And hopefully one day I'll do a card. I've got a Kickstarter going for some apparel, which you can find the link for in chat here in a second. But this is my second time going to Dominaria, first being the original Dominaria. I kind of missed out on all the old school sets on that plane because I started right after, I think it was right after Mirrodin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right on. So you've at least visited once before, so a nice little return to at least some familiarity.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. Clay, as always, fixture of our round tables. Who are you, my friend? Where can we find you? And how many times have you visited Dominaria?
Yeah. Hi, friends. I'm Claybee. I am the, talking face of the CNC Power Hour, given that I'm always the one that gets to do these roundtables. We do, here at CNC Power Hour, we do mostly virtual EDH content, but we've done a lot of pre-constructed and limited content. Basically, if Wizards has made a pre-constructed thing, we've played it on stream. Explorers of Ixalan, Plane Chase, Arch Enemy, etc. You can also find me playing D&D and other tabletop games on the internet, and playing EDH in and around the community. This is my second time on Dominaria. Chris, the rest of the CNC. So we started, I'm going to say it, I always say the wrong year, and Chris always gleefully corrects me, but I think it was M15 was when we started. That was my first introduction to Magic, period. So when we went to Dominaria this last time was my oh my goodness, I got it. I can retire now. I finally remembered when we started playing Magic. But yeah, so the last time to Dominaria was my first time there. So
nice.
Other than exposure through cards, I don't have any connection to it.
Cool. But still, we get to see some familiar faces, so that's awesome. as always. And new to the roundtable in her first appearance, Beth, welcome. Who are you? Where can we find you? And how many times have you visited Dominaria?
Thanks for having me. My name is Beth, and I'm otherwise known as Queen of Cardboard on Twitch and Twitter. And I am a full-time disabled veteran, part-time LGS employee, and even part-time charity streamer. So that's kind of what I do. And ironically, although I've been playing Magic off and on since middle school, this will be my first visit to Dominaria. I just have unluckily missed it. So yeah, I'm excited.
So a lot of new names and a lot of new faces, and in some cases, a lot of new locations thrown at you in this set. That's pretty awesome to be able to experience it for the first time.
I think some of them are less new to me because they're so popular in Commander, but they're definitely the story and the lore. Like, I read the Karn story for the first time with this release and got really excited about that. So that part is very new to me.
Cool. Very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us tonight, Beth. And our last panelist, and certainly not least, whose reputation may precede him, Gavin. Welcome. Who are you for the few folks out there who might not know? Where can we find you? And how many times have you visited Dominaria?
Sure. Hey, everyone. I'm Gavin. I suspect actually a lot of folks are probably more known than me. I often keep a low profile, not intentionally. So I'm a member of the Commander Rules Committee. Sheldon and I formed the RC back about, I guess, almost 20 years ago now. And I run a website called mtgcommander.net. I play a lot of games, Magic, Commander. I've designed games, sort of helped create the Commander rules, but also the Plains Chase map is another one. The Eternities map is something that I created a few years back, which has been a lot of fun. A few other things. I have a MTG role-playing game that I conjured up a few years ago that we play from time to time. That hasn't gone public yet. I need to play that more publicly. Let's see. So yeah, I mean, y'all adopted Dominaria, but I was born in so my first set actually was Mercadian Masks, and I played and Urza's block back then, and I was terrible. Still am terrible, but it was back in those sets. If you were terrible, the difference between you and someone who was good was really noticeable because there were a lot of bad cards as well as some good cards. Now it's mostly just good cards. So yeah, I've been through a few kicks at the Dominaria plane as well as a few others along the way. And yeah, really excited to be here. I love the Trevor Project, and I just love talking about Commander. So it's great to be here.
Awesome. And it's fantastic to have you here. Honestly, it's great. You're our first RC member to join in these roundtables. We've been running them for 2 years now, so we are absolutely over the moon to have you here. Thank you so much. And of course, I'm Chris, and I'm your Commander Mechanic. And Dominaria is actually my home plane as well. I started playing all the way back in Ice Age. So old Dominaria is where I got my start in the game. So I've read the Brothers War novels. I've been a stickler for the story and the lore and the history of Dominaria in particular. So I love coming back to all of this, and I am super stoked to see a lot of these characters and their impact through time that we get to see here on Dominaria United. This set is, I think, in my opinion, shaping up to be a big tickle to the old nostalgia berries that we're getting once again returning to Dominaria.
What?
Yeah.
I'm feeling that.
Yeah.
Someone clip it.
Yeah, perfect.
You killed Gavin.
Yeah. So we're seeing a lot of characters once again. This is now our second return to Dominaria set. The first return to Dominaria, just titled Dominaria, was a few years back, and we've got some experience with that. but the original, almost all of the original sets and planes from Dominaria were set around the same story and the same people, and we're getting a lot of callbacks to that now. For some of you who joined playing Magic and Magic story and lore around the first return to Dominaria, or just now, are there any characters that you are familiar with or identify with that we're seeing coming back in Dominaria United? We're seeing a lot of callbacks here. Gavin, since you've been playing since Masks era or Urza's Block era, anybody you're excited to see come back?
Yeah, I mean, so I think it's important to note that like Dominaria was different. It wasn't one plane. I mean, yes, there's the plane of Dominaria, but as a setting, it had all these kind of satellite planes around it, Wrath and places like that were kind of intrinsic to the setting. I really identified, this is going to sound a bit weird, with Gavin. Gavin I just thought was a super cool character, who then, got kicked off the boat. But the whole Ilvec thing versus there was these two shadow clans, the white color shadow, the dark color shadow. I thought that whole thing was just neat.
Very cool. And we are seeing some encores return in this set. Encores get their encore, I guess, in this set. As we've got a new black and white encore legend in this set, though Phyrexianized, which is really cool to see. But yeah, going back in lore, having planes overlap planes and collide with planes was definitely some big story beats. So it's real cool to see some of these come back for sure. Beth, you might not have been around for old Dominaria, but are there any characters that stick out from Magic's lore that we're seeing callbacks to in Dominaria United?
So I'm, again, not as familiar with the lore, but there's two characters that I'm really excited for cards and their characters. So I'm excited to see Joda. And I also am excited to see a unbanned Braids.
So really Braids if it's not banned.
No, don't do this to me.
Gavin, make it happen.
We can definitely say that Blue Braids is not Braids.
That's fair. If it's not banned, it's just sparkling conjurers, right? Awesome. So it is cool to see a new Braids too. I'm sure we'll talk about her a little bit more. Clay, how about you? Any callbacks to Magic's history or previous lore that you're excited to see come back in Dominaria United?
Yeah, so like in Dominaria United, so like when I was thinking about this at first, I like had a whole bunch of answers and then realized I was thinking about the Commander decks and the Legends Revisited. And I was like, that's probably not exactly what we're looking for here. But I'm really excited, like Beth. Joda is just like a fun callback and a card that I've gotten to play with a lot since the first revisit to Dominaria. But I think my most favorite, or the person I was most excited to see was Danitha. Because like I love auras and equipment decks, and Danitha was just like this very, very cool legend to me the first time going back to Dominaria. That like getting to see her get a new card, and then plus the stained glass art version of her card is just like Chris says it up in the preview window now. It just looks incredible. So I was really happy to see her get that kind of treatment.
Absolutely. And those stained glass treatments, those stained glass arts are fantastic. They are some of my favorite treatments that they've ever done here. Honestly, they keep knocking it out of the park with some of these full art land treatments that they've got, or these legend treatments that they've got. I keep saying every new set that comes out, these are my favorite new basic lands. These are my favorite new legends arts. they keep topping themselves. So I'm with you. Love seeing Dan at the back, and I love seeing them get special art treatments like this. Andrew, I know you're the one to talk about art here, but in your maybe trips around Dominaria, if not through Dominaria, any characters, stories, lore beats that you're excited to see come back in Dominaria United?
Yeah, I am pumped. I collect dragons, and so I'm so excited for 3 new legendaries. I'm excited for Rith coming back. The full name is Rith Liberated Primeval, and then Ravaz of the Claw is my most favorite out of this set, because when we went back to Dominaria before, I was so hopeful we'd see Zerillon of the Claw, who's one of my favorite commanders.
Nice.
And getting this little reference to Zerillon is really cool. So I'm pumped about that. And then the last one is trying to find the name. It's the new Bladewing.
Oh yeah, the black red Rorik, or not? Is it a Rorik's Bladewing? Bladewing
It's not the Risen, but it's like a different title, and it's not showing up on the Magic spoiler that I'm looking at, so that's helpful.
Well, we'll circle back around to it when we talk about some of our favorite cards from the set. Yeah. That's for sure. But Rorik's or Bladewing rather, Bladewing Deathless Tyrant. There we go. We've got it up now. This is like the 3rd card for Bladewing in particular, 4th around his whole dragon lineage that we're seeing in all through Magic. So definitely a cool callback.
Yeah, I really want to make a Bladewing family reunion and put like Tarox and Karox and Rorix and Bladewing the Risen and Bladewing's Thrall and all those. Absolutely.
That'd be super cool. Nice lore-heavy deck, that's for sure. Cool. And Jake, your trips through Dominaria and around the multiverse, are there any characters, story beats, or callbacks that you're excited to see from Dominaria United?
Yeah, there's so much cool stuff. One that particularly resonates with me, and they had me in the first half. Like, I thought they weren't going to give my girl a new card, but Rada is back. I love her. I love it. Like, when you get to see, like, first off, Swole Mama, love that. She's awesome, but I just also like her story, kind of growing from this harsh, hot-headed, just, brutal person, in Rada Heir to Keld, all the way to a more rational leader, into, even in Grand Warlord Rada being kind of in the middle ground of like caring for her people. I love the on that Grand Warlord Rada, which again, first time in Dominaria, one of my early first commander builds was a Grand Warlord Rada deck. And she says, the future is my gift to Keld. So like the future that I'm building, that's what I'm trying to pass on and give to you. It's just like sweet, just a strong female role model, like awesome girl bossing it. We love it. And she did get a new card. In true Rada fashion, it's like, it's aight. Her cards are never busted, but they're super fun. I think that they have some neat stuff to go, and I was really excited to get a new Rada card.
Absolutely. One of the few non-planeswalkers to now have 4 unique incarnations, too.
Yep, 4, Heir to Keld, Grand Warlord, Heart of Keld from 21, and then now Coalition Warlord, which makes me excited because it's like, I can totally just see her imagining being like on the front lines with the Coalition, like leading the charge of this united, Dominarian front. Because again, I believe she's half elf as well, so that kind of goes into like her character of like being, an amalgamation of different species and races and coming together, and just the unification of that.
Absolutely. Clay, you had something to add?
I just wanted to say I love that I shouted out to Anitha, and then Jake shouted out Rada. And Chris, if you can pull up Join Forces, it's one of my favorite flavor texts in this upcoming set. Because it's just absolutely ridiculous. Okay, you take the 16 Ragers and the Hulk on the right. I'll take the 10 Defilers and the Plague Lord on the left. Ready? And it's like, hold on, these are absolutely unrealistic numbers, and what is happening that these two badasses are just like, there's like 40 Phyrexians, like a Hulk, a Plague Lord, like, I love it. The moment that card got previewed, I was like laughing my head off, and I had already earmarked it for this stream. And then when Jake was like, "Yeah, run," I was like, "Yes, this is
Yeah.
the time."
Perfect, right? It reminds me of like Legolas and Gimli, like counting.
oh,
like, okay,
yeah.
how many do you have?
What's your score? Yeah.
Mhm.
It's seeing these two badasses back to back like that in this set. Again, that's how they're doing callbacks so well in this set, taking these characters that we've explored in one or two previous sets, and now we're seeing them get some more action and get some more lore and story. And I mean, we here in this panel aren't the only ones that are loving some of this story and callback, which is fantastic. Absolutely great. The next, oh, sorry, Gavin, you had something to add?
Sure. So there was a character actually that like I kind of wanted to bring up, but I thought somebody else would probably mention them, but nobody did, and I'm shocked because we were talking about Girl Boss, which is Joyra. Like Joyra is still one of the coolest characters, and she's a slow burn character. Like she was never sort of front and center in it. Like she wasn't like Zed, all the rest of it, but like man, just like the coolest, timeless character, and she's always amazing. The art's always incredible. I mean, the Suspend Legend was probably one of the most like disruptive problems cards early when she was printed. Like everybody was like, "Oh no, you can suspend this and obliterate and just win," and we were like, "Oh yeah, you can." Are we gonna fix? No, we're not gonna fix this. Okay, all right, but no, I don't know. Mechanics aside, everything else aside, I just love the character Joyra. She's awesome. So
Absolutely.
And that stained glass art is so good.
Yeah,
The
even
cannons,
the
though.
non-stained glass art version of this card, I
Mhm.
love the art. It's like her striding between the two cannons, firing.
Mhm.
Like, oh, how badass is that too? Like, is that not just rad? Like,
Yeah.
I love it. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then one day we'll get a Tappy Toe Claws cosplay in that exact pose.
Yeah. Right?
As long as Tappy doesn't make the cannons, because if Tappy makes the cannons, I'm afraid they'll actually fire something.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's see it happen.
Have the fire extinguishers on hand, because that's a thing that would happen. Yeah. Awesome. So, next up is, I know for a few people it's going to touch on a bit of a nerve, but we're talking about story and we're talking about callbacks and some of the lore. And now for the second set this year, we have seen a beloved character who's been a staple in Magic for years and years fall to the Phyrexians. We have discovered that a Johnny has been turned into a sleeper agent during the invasion of Dominaria. We talked earlier this year about Tamiyo and her completion. How do we feel about another big loss for the Planeswalkers, the Gatewatch, the good guys, in losing a Johnny? Clay, we'll save your feedback on this one since I know you have words to say. Beth, why don't we start with you? How do you feel about a Johnny being revealed to be a Phyrexian agent?
The card looks really cool, though.
It does.
Yeah, boy.
It's
I think it can be heartbreaking whenever you have lore that has spanned years and years and years and these favorite characters and they just fall. I feel like, especially comparing to Tamiyo, we don't really understand yet why this has happened or how it's really happened. And it's very like you have hopes and you have dreams and you're emotionally attached. And then the next minute, all of a sudden you're like, I'm getting him back. And then you're not getting him back because he's a sleeper agent and the bad guy now. And that's painful, to say the least.
Yeah, to see somebody so stoic fall like this as well, it's tragic. Gavin, what do you feel about the story beat here about losing a Johnny?
I mean, it's kind of got to happen. Not necessarily to a Johnny, but like you mentioned tragic, right? Like this is how you build pathos into a story is loss. Like at the very least, he's not getting George R.R. Martin. He's not just like, oh, look, he died. There is a complication in the storytelling that to really deliver a good tragic fall, they should have some time to sort of build up and explain and tell stories and then have this thing happen. And that would be the best way to deliver that character's payoff. And they kind of don't. They're just like, hey, here's a set release. P.S., character died. and we get that backfill after the fact. I mean, I'm okay with it. Characters die. It's, they didn't fridge characters, which is important. But I think it's good that we have characters that are good enough that we care about them, that when they lose, it means something. That's a good sign. So I don't think if we don't have that, there's no victory when we win.
Fair. Jake, how do you feel?
Yeah, so if you saw me, I have my thumbs up. Not that I'm super in love with Ajani dying, but I think Gavin kind of hit the nail on the head. Like, how do we buy into, one, the story and kind of get emotionally invested, but how do we take the Phyrexian seriously and as a threat, if there's not consequences, and them taking out one, like the beacon of just goodness, like talk about Captain America style. I mean, aside from Gideon, like, the cat who, had his failings and then was like, I'm going to be like the good guy. I'm going to protect people. I'm going to do this, all that stuff. And to see his fall from grace, it's like, oh my gosh, the Phyrexians are here and they mean business and they're strong. If you can turn like one of the most strong-willed, lawful, good aligned planeswalkers into a Phyrexian, nobody is safe, and I think that's going to help going forward is, now that, seeing Tamiyo, not that there aren't, of course, Tamiyo lumbers, and it's not as heartbreaking. I think Tamiyo in the collective mind of most Magic players is somewhere in the middle. It's a cool planeswalker, but rarely someone's favorite. I'm sorry, Tamiyo stands out there. I'm so sorry for your loss still. But Ajani, I think, is more just generally kind of accepted as, a main character, a leader. And so seeing him fall, it's like, oh my gosh, if they can do this to Ajani, and as we kind of hinted at, and Jaya can die, and if we can see these big players fall, none of our favorites are safe going forward, and that brings a lot of tension and excitement. I think I think a lot of people War the Spark let some people know they thought more people were gonna die, and maybe this is them kind of filling in some of those blanks and cutting the cast a little bit.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like you said, there's got to be stakes. There's got to be something to lose here, and you got to see that the bad guys are bad guys, and that's exactly what we saw with this story beat. Andrew, what do you think about this, about Ajani falling to the Phyrexians?
I agree with everything that's been said so far. I think it's only going to be a good story if you're invested in the characters, and the fact that so many people are reacting the way they are to this change in Ajani kind of speaks of just, how meaningful it's going to be. And who knows, like maybe Ajani will come back, because like we had Karn get saved. So it could happen again.
Yeah.
They're not all lost forever to the Phyrexians.
True. It's true. And Clay, I know that you've got words about this. How do you feel about what's happened to Ajani?
I'm gonna try to not go too hard so that we can just like move on eventually. It kind of mirrors what I talked about when we went through the Tamiyo reveal with Kamigawa. It's weirdly frustrating that for the first 6 years or whatever that I was playing Magic and aware of Magic's story, there were effectively no losses, right? Like as far as like the big characters, everybody was cool. And then you got a couple bad guy off-screen deaths, right? Like at least we kind of got some story for Dovin and Domri, right? And then like Dak got in the trailer. That was kind of weird, and it was like, all right, that's like these are relatively I don't want to say B tier planeswalkers, but like people who weren't as active in like the big running story, right? They had their moments on the side, but like Domri wasn't even kind of like a bigger one of the guild masters under Nicol Bolas, and kind of we did that. So it's been really weird that in this year alone, my personal two favorite planeswalkers have gone down, and two of, based off story, like the smartest, older, more powerful planeswalkers. And I feel like unless we get a story beat in one of the next sets of like a bunch of planeswalkers have been got, and this turns into like the Phyrexian planeswalking army fighting some type of like bigger Gatewatch army.
Mhm.
It's really frustrating that there's a bunch of dumb kids jumping planes with no idea what they're doing, but the two people who get got are Tamio and Ajani. That is very frustrating for like somebody being emotionally invested, that like the narrative that we're building is the mentors, the people who watch over, right? It's like anime, right? They have to die so that the kids can grow up. But if we're going to do that, just kill all of the older walkers. I want to see Nissa gone. I want to see Jace gone. I want to see, like, it's just the white aligned walkers between Gideon and then Tamio and then Ajani. Like, if we're going to wipe the slate clean, let's get them all out of here. I'm tired of Soren and Nahiri. I'm tired of, like, just start it over. Let the new kids, Nico Eris and Basrikat and Tyvar Kell, let all of them go run and have fun in the multiverse after this. But like, if we get through this whole arc and it's still Jace and Nissa and Sean, like all of like the people who've been around forever, that will belatedly make the story a lot more frustrating than it is for me like now.
Yeah. Totally understood. Yeah, Gavin, you wanted to add something about storytelling.
Well, I was just going to say, like, the death of the mentor is one of the key elements of the tragic
hero's journey.
The hero's journey, right? And there is actually another beloved character that falls and is Phyrexianized and completed in this story, who for me was actually more painful than losing Ajani, which is the Weatherlight.
Yeah.
Like the Weatherlight is a character.
See, having not read the old stuff, like I had no attachment to the Weatherlight. Like I thought it was like actually kind of wild and cool, the idea that like the living ship was now, what does this mean? What are the consequences? Where are we going with that? Like that was something that I thought was interesting, but I guess I didn't recognize it as a loss. That's an interesting perspective, and I like that though. Like I mean, because it's a change, something like and we don't know what the consequences of that change are going to be yet, right? Like that base nature, what that'll mean.
I can see what you mean though with the Ajani loss, and like it was just like when I read that, when I read the Weatherlight, I was like, oh man, they did the. Dang it! I like that shit. That was cool, and like to have a character that you invested in. I also agree that like the fact that a number of the white aligned walkers are the ones that we're losing because they're much better at writing white aligned protagonists than black or red, or like that's something that they've always needed to fix. So hopefully they get around to it.
Yeah. Real quick, if you don't mind, Gavin, maybe you help me out. So the Weatherlight, again, young gun here, not always in there. But my understanding, the Weatherlight was kind of like the Enterprise, right? It was like, there was a crew and they would go around and the Weatherlight could go between the planes and kind of do the travel. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, like it almost more like the Voyager, I guess. Like it was this, like it was this
not a Star Trek fan either.
No, it's fine. I'm struggling, but like it was a central part of, like, it was one of these big artifacts they had to find to help defeat Yawgmoth and the Phyrexians, and like it was, I don't know, it was the thing that sort of held everyone together, and it was it's a good sting. Like it's a really good sting in terms of like the writing. Just be like, oof, the bad guys are winning a little bit. I don't like it.
Right. Because the Weatherlight is part of the legacy weapon, which is like the Infinity Stones, the pieces that need to be collected to defeat the Phyrexians to begin with. So this is essentially the bad guys collecting one of the pieces of the big weapon here, and the Weatherlight being essentially the Infinity Gauntlet that all of the pieces were collected by. Right, so it's sad to see that like this is a loss too. Clay, you've got something to add.
I was just gonna add actually, when Gavin mentioned that like another character going down, I was really surprised by like my response like halfway through the Squee story, where again, not having a connection to the old lore, I knew roughly the Squee story, but like I never actually read it. I just like picked it up through being around Magic for 8 years. And when Urtai comes in after like the Phyrexians are revealed, and then like Squee wakes up and like the arm splits open. Like I was mad. Like I wasn't even upset. I was legit mad. I was like, how can you like justify this? Like what? And then of course what happened in the story, and then like it's like, okay, actually, is this the will of the world? Like, what are we setting up for Squee? Because this is wild. Like, this feels like a different power system level than what we're used to in Magic. Like, whatever's going on with Squee and the bauble. But I was surprised that they were like that story. I thought was so well written and capitalizing on a character that even if you weren't super familiar with his story and his lore and attached to him, that like. Yeah, I was heated
mm-hmm.
that they were doing that to him after everything he'd been through, and I am excited to see what Squee's involvement ends up being, because I know it's going to be like he's going to be instrumental, and I can't wait.
He's going to be accidentally instrumental, as he
right, just in the right place somehow on accident.
Now, so we talked about the loss of a Johnny, and that brought us to the story beat about losing mentors. And Tamio and a Johnny, they aren't the only Planeswalker losses, because we also lost Jaya this set as well. That's 3 Planeswalkers that are literally mentors to other Planeswalkers. A Johnny has a card, a Johnny Mentor to Heroes. Jaya is Chandra's teacher and mentor. Tamio has been guiding Planeswalkers and individuals for centuries. Now we've lost 3 of these mentors here, so it's very much setting up those story beats. Do you feel that the death of Jaya, as opposed to the completion of Jaya, is a more heartbreaking story beat, or do you think that she was spared the completion, now not having to turn against former allies? Andrew, why don't we start with you?
It's interesting because I hadn't actually thought of like, oh, is it going to be more meaningful having Jaya die versus having Jaya be completed and turn against the Planeswalkers? Mm-hmm. And then my brain immediately went to Naruto, and I was like, oh, are we going to get a like Chandra like losing her cool because Jaya got killed, and just like huge explosion of fire? Because if we are, I'm here for it. That would look
right, and that's the classic story beat. That's the motivator for the heroes, for the good guys, is the loss of those that have gotten to them to this point. And again, we are seeing all of the mentors be wiped out at this point. I think it's just Karn that's left in terms of the older Planeswalkers that are shepherding the newer generation of walkers. So who knows what that spells out for him. Jake, please.
So, real quick, do y'all know who kills Jaya?
No,
It's a Johnny. A Johnny kills her.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
I didn't
it's
know-
part
I
of the
didn't know
Johnny's
that.
reveal as a sleeper agent.
I just read that she was killed by the completed Johnny, and I'm like, oh, that sucks. Like that's heavy.
Yeah.
She
it's
does.
Like, we were just
burn.
talking about could a Johnny potentially, could they unphyrexianize him somehow? Hopeful. It's like, how do you reconcile with that afterwards? If you do, if somehow he is able to be converted back, like, is it like, hey, cool, you killed one of our best friends, but I guess it wasn't you, but it was, you know what I mean? I think it lends itself to potentially being very cool storytelling if they decide to go that way. If not, it's still like that, just a gut punch. But again, like Gavin said, building that pathos of just, someone who we trusted turning against us, because again, you think who's already lost, who else might be a sleeper agent if there are some. But seeing Jaya go, I definitely have a feeling this is going to thrust Chandra into the limelight for a bit and get her involved in some serious ways to avenge and to do things.
Yeah, exactly. That inciting incident. Clay, you were saying something as well. She did burn something.
Oh, she absolutely torched a Johnny in the process of that. They talk in the story, like that's part of the like you actually know what's happening because like she melts the fur and flash off, and so that's how you see like the metal wiring and like the structure underneath, which is wild. I think like I don't know. I don't know if Jaya dying is like probably a better impact than like having her complete. And I don't know how much for other like people in my Magic generation and newer, how much people know of Jaya in that mentor role as much as like how much of her old lore, you know what I mean? Where we got to see her a couple times since the return to Dominaria, but like versus like Tamiyo's had quite a few sets, right? In the run up to Kamigawa. Johnny's been around forever, actually, pretty consistently. I do think if a Johnny gets uncompleted before the story gets resolved, we're gonna see a Johnny Vengeant come back.
Oh yeah,
and like Red White Johnny is going to come back with a vengeance and is going to just destroy New Phyrexia. That's if they manage to uncomplete him before this is all resolved, Johnny's going to pull Elishnorn apart with his hands.
Could be the Tony Stark sacrifice.
Yeah.
Take out New Phyrexia.
There we go. Yeah.
Blow up his spark. Whoa.
Oh. Ooh. It's heavy. Gavin, what do you think? The loss of Jaya, is the death merciful in comparison to completion?
Oh, 100%. So Jaya's death is a victory, not a loss. Like, character has to die eventually, character has to, and all stories end. And like, for those who don't know, like Jaya, before they had sort of a character focus in Magic with like all of these, like all the planeswalkers, all the rest of it, Jaya was one of the most recognizable characters, even though she was only present in flavor text. But there were like 15 cards that had Jaya Ballard Task Mage flavor text quotes. Of course you fight fire with fire. You fight everything with fire. Like, arguably one of the greatest flavor texts ever written. And she was this character, and so then she had the growth. She became, more than just a task mage, more than just a mercenary. She became a mentor and a leader. And for her to basically say, well, look, either I become a bad guy or I die a good guy, the world's going to burn. I'm going out on my terms. Like, she is the ultimate I'm going out on my terms. Mm-hmm. For her to go out on her terms is a completion, not with an EAT, but it is the ending that the character deserves. For her to just be like, yeah, like, it is better to burn out than to fade away.
Absolutely. And that's what she would want on her headstone too, right?
Yeah.
You'd imagine that's what she wants engraved on it. Beth, what do you think about this? Jaya going out in a blaze of glory. Is it more merciful than suffering completion?
I think it's definitely more merciful, because I think when you look at it, like, these planeswalkers, at this point know of each other, work together. You see the way like Karn is talking about his relationships with other planeswalker in the lore this time. I think to know that someone that you've worked closely with, someone that you fought wars with, is now on the enemy team, and then be forced to join them, that would be so much more painful than doing your damnedest to take them out to end that and potentially yourself. And in this case, definitely herself.
Yeah. She went Nova, and that's exactly the way that she would have wanted to go out here. So a fitting end to a character for sure. But again, the third in a series of mentors that we have lost character-wise here. So we are definitely seeing that story beat to completion. So here at the halfway point, I want to remind everybody that we are still collecting donations for the Trevor Project. If you want to hit Command Donate, in chat, as Chris has just done. Thank you. We have crossed the $100 mark in donations as well, meaning those play mats that have been donated by Andrew will be drawn at the end of the night. So thank you all for that. If we make it to $175, we'll be giving away the commander decks, the Dominaria United commander decks, a set, one of each. And then if we reach the $250 donation goal, we will be doing the draw for the Pinfinity pin set as well. So right now at just over the $100 mark, we're doing the draw for the Infinitokens prize pack donated by our friend Megan Infinitokens in chat. Thank you very much. We are giving away the play mats donated by Andrew. Thank you very much. And then it'll be the Dominaria United commander decks and the Pinfinity set if we reach 250. So please, again, donate in increments of $5 to have your name entered in the draw for any of these prizes. All right. And of course, to help a fantastic cause, the Trevor Project. All right. Okay, folks. So we've talked about some of the story. We've talked about some characters. We've, shed our tears and we've poured one out for our homies. Let's talk about some cards and mechanics now. Let's get into the crunchy stuff. Come on, Clay. I'm having fun with it.
That's all that matters. I'm glad we're all happy.
So we saw a couple of new, I'd say, gimmicks with this set. In particular, the Legends Retold, a series of box toppers that are reimagining characters out of the classic Legends set. These are old school Legends characters that are now getting modern treatments to them. How do
Chris,
of you...
Can I interrupt you real quick?
Yeah, sure.
So we're at 210 now.
Oh.
Shout outs to our good friend Crab Baskets, who just donated $100.
Whoa!
So we're
awesome.
now at 210 of 250.
Fantastic.
So I just wanted to acknowledge that out loud.
Crabs coming in.
Yes.
Thank you, friend. That means that we're just $40 away from unlocking all of the draws for tonight. We have passed 175, which means we will be giving away one of each of the Dominaria United commander decks too. So again, donate in increments of $5 to be entered to this draw. Thanks to Crab's very generous donation here, we will see a lot of prizes given out. So please do what you can. $5 increments. Thank you, friends. All right. So anyway, so we're seeing Legends Retold. We're seeing old Legends with new modern design spins to them. How do you feel about this this new gimmick, the Legends Retold, being both distributed as box toppers? And how do you feel about some of these really weird old Legends getting modern design facelifts? Clay, what do you think about this?
I think it's cool. I like the idea of revisiting a bunch of kind of, more or less iconic older legendary creatures, but a lot of the, I guess, kind of like prestige of them is the fact that, like, wow, the old Legends were not good by like modern design standards, and a lot of them were very are just kind of tough, right? Like a lot of them. And so if you don't have if you weren't there for them in their time, it's kind of like they were always cards that you saw on Scryfall as you're like scrolling through command or color identities looking for legendary creatures, and you're just like, huh. I think they're cool. I think a bunch of them do interesting, weird things that I think this is the kind of space where they can do these things. Like, so Chris has Lady Orca up there right now. But like I was gonna call out like the Lady of Otaria, like for the new card, where like instead of paying 3 red green for her, you can tap 3 dwarves, and then like some of them, they just do, I don't know, different things, weird things. Some of them, Jasmine Boreal caring about vanilla creatures.
Mhm.
And then personally, I was talking about it on Twitter, but Zira, the Golden State,
Mhm.
I actually built a Zira Arian deck
Oh,
in the past, just because I loved her art so much. And I built the entire deck was creepy crawlies. It was spiders
Nice.
and insects, and I was like, this is what I want to do with this deck. I think it was like a Halloween stream that we did it for. And so when they previewed this one, I was like, oh my god, this is actually I want to build this commander for her abilities.
Mhm.
Not to mention the fact that she creates the single best token in Magic's history.
yeah.
You need a print
That-
of that to be on the left or on the other side of you.
Oh my god!
Because you have that
yes.
cat that
So,
complements
yeah.
it perfectly.
So it's my cat and my dog. So these are my two babies. And then to the other side, I could have my small insect child. But yeah. So I don't know, Chris. Can you pull up the insect? There we go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
would like to let you know that as of today's Good Morning Magic, Gavin Verhey has named him Beador.
Oh my god,
I love it. I love it.
that's adorable.
That's really good. I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think the decision is cool. I don't know if they can kind of keep it going, but I think it would be a neat thing to continue to revisit old legends, and then also maybe this is the kind of design space that they can also give us cards for flavor text legends that we haven't received yet.
Yes.
If they can't figure out how to fit them into the story, into the narrative, this feels like a really good spot for that. So I hope they keep doing it, but
Fantastic. Beth, how do you feel about the Legends Retold? Is this something that's interesting to see, interesting to revisit? How do you feel about it?
So one of the cool things about working at an LGS is I get to see a lot of these old cards all the time come in. And so recently I was looking at some of them in preparation for this set. And I have to agree, some of the old ones are just oof, there's nothing good about this in today's Magic. So I think it's really cool because it brings part of my childhood and makes it decent. I talk a lot when I'm playing that learning how to play Magic today is 100 times different than learning to play Magic when I was, in middle school. And the only thing that you had to do is turn your cards right, and whoever could do that the fastest won the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now there's so many different mechanics and different things to do and different ways to build. I love this upgrade to the Legends. I love putting parts of my childhood into popular Magic and actually making it work. So I'm excited.
Awesome. Gavin, how do you feel? Or sorry, Jake, you've got something to add. Let's get your input on this first.
Oh yeah, not unless Gavin had something. He went dad first.
Go for it.
Okay. I was just going to say what kind of struck me with this is, like Clay was saying, some of those old legends, is not very good, especially in modern commander senses. I think I think as you called it, Chris, this facelift on old legends is Wizards giving us ways to play with these characters in a contemporary commander setting, especially, right? It's giving us the same characters in commander cards that are playable nowadays, ones that will actually be powerful enough to see play at most commander tables. I know when I first started playing, there was kind of, and again, I started playing, fairly newish, Ixalan forward. It seemed like these cards were kind of a meme because it was they're so bad, for what they're cost compared to cards nowadays. And so, which I'm sure they were bombs back in the day, but, comparatively to what the stuff we see at, what we have commanders that are legendary creatures for 2 mana nowadays, and they're game altering. So, it's kind of neat to see these characters get some love and attention, in a new way that kind of, brings them into the contemporary sphere of the power level of current Magic play.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't think that it's a far cry to say that 7 mana vanilla 5/5s were not good then and definitely not good now.
I'm just saying, I didn't play then, so I don't know y'all's life.
Yeah, I mean, we used to joke that Spiti Scarzum was 6 mana for a Crawworm and 1 mana for a picture of a half-naked lady.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah, they just, they weren't good, and they did always actually feel a little bit mean. It's cool to see them get a chance to shine. It'll be fun to see, to play against them occasionally and be like, oh, cool, I get to play against, I don't know, one of the new ones that's kind of cool. It does, if I have a concern, it's that there's just so many damn legends. Like this set has 40?
Yeah.
50? Yeah, okay, fine. The ship has sailed. There's more legends you can ever possibly play. Everybody gets a different vibe. There's lots of little niches to fill, but it does feel impatient on Wasi's part. They're like, oh, we've got all these cool characters. We have to print them all. Right, fine. Yeah, we get it. Commander's your market. 50 legends in a set? Give me a break. Come on. Other than that, no, it's cool to see them get fleshed out.
Absolutely. Andrew, how do you feel about the Legends Retold?
So everyone's been mentioning giving a revamp, a facelift to all these old legends and making them playable, but I think I am most excited for a facelift on art because some of those old card illustrations from Legends, I just look at and I'm just like, eh. I know it was a thing back in the day and it fit and everything, but when you play it now compared to everything else, it just feels lackluster. So I'm excited to see a facelift in terms of the design and bringing these characters up to speed with their contemporaries.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Jedit Ojinin is still a buff shirtless cat dude, and that's all I could ask for.
I'm saying. Looks like he's on a metal album. You know what I mean? It makes me think of...
Listen, I'm definitely happy to have more female characters wearing realistic clothing and realistic armor.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely. Yeah, it definitely seems like modern sensibilities with these redone cards, not only in card design, but in the art, in the character design themselves, in the intent behind them too. And okay. We
Nice.
have been updated by the man in the chair. There are 49 legends in Dominaria United, plus the 20 Legends Retold box toppers, for a total of a very nice 69 legends in Dominaria United.
Nice.
You know that had to be intentional.
Somebody knew. Somebody knew.
Right?
Question.
Please.
Going quickly around the table. Who's the one who got caught from 70 to get it down to 69?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Angus McKenzie.
Oh.
Damn, Angus McKenzie.
That's my call.
Yeah.
God,
that might be the case. Angus isn't making it into the Legends cards that are seeded in collector boosters either, because apparently no copies of him were pulled in those cases of Legends. So maybe they decided to pull his revamp card too. But that actually brings me to the next kind of gimmick for the set that I wanted to bring up, is that in collector boosters, Wizards is seeding old copies of Legends cards at a rate of 3%, because they found cases upon cases of unopened boxes of Legends. Is this another Zendikar Expeditions kind of gimmick here to get people to open new cards, since there are some very, very, very expensive Legends cards that one could open up in these collector boosters? Or is this just something cool that Wizards wants to do now that they found a bit of a hidden stockpile?
No
Andrew,
comment.
why don't we start with you again?
I kind of think all around, I think it's a great, throwback to Legends and to Dominaria, and it fits in perfectly. It's also enticing to people to get it because they could hit that jackpot of a really expensive card. It could also just be, you know, the nostalgia of an older player who remembered opening packs and opening one of those back in the day and then opening it again. So I think overall it's just kind of like a grand slam, like checks all the boxes in terms of, I think it'll draw people to buy it more. I think it'll be nostalgic. I think it'll be just like a cool surprise for people who don't know about it and just like open the packs and are like, oh, what's this really old card doing in here?
Right. Gavin, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm taking them at their word that they were found, that it was literally just a found warehouse. It's a bit odd. Like the time, I'm not 100% convinced. Like, yeah, there's still some skepticism, but I'm going to take them at their word. In terms of, yeah, it's got resale value. It's got some cool value. I think the best part, like Andrew said, the best part is definitely the player who just cracks a booster and is like, "What's an Angus McKenzie?"
Exactly.
I think it's going to be really interesting for some people to be opening those cards and realize what old cards used to smell like versus what new cards smell like too. I think that's
terrible.
I was not expecting us to talk about smells.
Hey, it's not the first time on a round table we have discussed the smell of these cards. But Beth, you're familiar with going through some of the old versions of these cards that people can now find in these collector boosters. What do you think of this as kind of a gimmick to get people to open more?
I think it's slightly, I'm going to be honest, I think it's slightly frustrating. And that's just coming from a resale market value, that kind of thing. And also from a player point, these cards don't really help the format because they're not good cards. They're just money cards. So I watch a lot of people gamble every single day, and they've already been doing that with double masters. And I feel like double masters, if you gamble, you know, you're either going to really miss or you're really going to hit. But if you really hit, it feels good because you can use all of those cards, whether you're a collector, a reseller, or a player. With some of these legends, I feel like there's going to be players who open packs and open packs and open packs and open packs, and they don't even really know what they're looking for. And it just, I don't know, it feels, I don't want to say icky, but gimmicky for sure.
That's fair. I think everybody's looking for a tabernacle. That's the big hit, right? Maybe we can find out what that's going for right now. But
I think
Jake,
I looked. It was getting close to like 5,000. Insane. I mean, I don't know. Whenever I look at like booster pack opening, like it's just gambling either way. You know, this is like just gambling with like, I guess like a higher jackpot. But like Beth said, it's not. Again, I'm not going to get most of these cards to play with them. Again, I'm not going to build an Angus McKenzie deck because why would I do that when there's 50 other probably better commanders in this set alone? But there is kind of that neatness of like open. Like if I open one, I'd be like, cool, I'm gonna like put this in like a little thing and protect it because it's like neat. As someone who doesn't like collect like high value cards, it is kind of neat the idea that I might just open one, and now I have come into contact with a piece of Magic history that I now get to own and go with. I can definitely see, like, kind of like Beth mentioned, the downsides of someone seeking that out, and rather than saving up and buying the card that they desire, trying to open it up and sinking in money that way. I'm also a little bit with Gavin of like, interesting. Shack, middle of nowhere. I don't know. I'm not going to go full on conspiracy with it. I just think getting cool cards into people's hands is a good thing. So, I think this was an experiment, kind of like you said, in lines with what they did with Zendikar. I think overall it's neat. But how about this? For me personally, a casual collector and player, it doesn't really affect the amount of packs that I'm going to buy. The set itself is incredible. I was buying a box just because the uncommons are like really insanely good for like constructed play. This had no bearings on it. It would be a piece of candy, kind of thing.
For real. Clay, how do you feel about these Legends cards seated in collector boosters?
I mean, I think it's funny, honestly. I think ultimately, like, at the end of the day, I just think it's funny. I liked when they announced it that the, like, very first response was the kind of skepticism, that, like, we've heard here, where it's like, that's coincidental, and da-da-da. And then the immediate next response was an entire wave of people who've worked in warehouses going, y'all have no idea the shit that we have found. And like stuff that belonged to other companies hidden in the back, stuff that was now obsolete. I don't know. I think the biggest like opportunity there is that like who knows when in the last several years this palette or palettes were found is like, to me, like I wouldn't be surprised if it came out that like, hey, they actually found these in 2018 and they've been trying to figure out a way to do it. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if like that was the case. But I do believe that like they at some point found palettes of these Legends, especially since the fact that there's only half of Legends is going to be, right? Like we talked about that, like Angus McKenzie's not going to be in this because there's like whatever the boxes were seated, however that works. Mm-hmm. But to Beth's point, I think it like, There is a big difference between like even people hunting double masters for the big pulls and this. And I whereas double masters, if you pull good, like these are very relevant cards right now. So even if you're not like a collector or a MTG finance person, you can get powerful cards. You can get really cool stuff. There's the alternate arts. There's just a bunch of different stuff. But I think it's just it's a lot bigger conversation about the gacha system and Magic's role in that, right? And like even when Double Masters came out, my TikTok feed, I don't really engage with Magic content on TikTok. My Magic feed was suddenly every second or third video was somebody opening packs with sick pulls. That was all I was seeing for like a week. And there is a like an addictive side to that, and I know that there are going to be people who spend irresponsibly for these Dominaria United Commander Pack collector boosters in search of that Tabernacle or whatever another chase card is. But I don't know how we like address that and differentiate that. Right? There's a lot of people who spent more money than they should have on Double Masters, and there are people who spent more money than they should have on name a set, right? So like I think Beth said icky, and I think that's a good word, and I think you can look at that and say Andrew volunteering Kamigawa. I can say I spent more money than I should have on Kamigawa. But yeah, but I guess I don't know that I'm qualified, psychology speaking or addiction gambling speaking, to speak on that topic of the hey, there's a 3% chance that you're going to get a Legends card in one of these packs for what, $35 a pack? What are the collector boosters going for? Like that's tough.
Mm-hmm. And they range from $2 to $5,000. So
yeah. But you spend $35 and you get the all art foils for the tapped duels, and you get a $2 Legends card. If you get a Legends card,
right?
30% chance again that you get a $2 card. That's tough.
Yeah, absolutely. Beth, please.
Yeah, so I think the biggest issue for me too, like that now that I was thinking about it, like for your Zendikar and your stuff in Standard up until Baldur's Gate and Double Masters, there's kind of an MSRP, right? But with Double Masters, that price has been all over just for buying packs. It came out, it was like 200 and something, and now it's over 300. And that's because of the availability. And I think my concern there with Dominaria, because people are like, oh, I could get a Legends and, it's going to drive that price all over the place. I don't think I think that's kind of BS to that sense. Like, yes, you've got the money there. Yes, you've got that. But then knowing that you're going to drive the price up based off of how popular it is and how many you can sell, that's where it kind of gets frustrating to me.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And all it takes is one person posting one hot poll to get everybody on the bandwagon of it pays off to open Dominaria United collector's boosters. But
I can't remember. I saw literally last night somebody posted from a Whatnot poll that they got a Divine Intervention, I think was the card. But yeah, it's so easy. You see a clip online, you see a picture, and you're like, oh, I go.
Well, because you don't post your bad pools. You know what I mean? You never post the whiffs. You post the one collector's booster that is totally nuts. You'll never believe. Follow and subscribe for more. It's content.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. So those are some of the gimmicks in the set, but now let's talk about what's actually getting us excited, and that is the cards in this set. But before we dive into that, I want everybody to prepare some of their favorite cards from the set that we're going to talk about. I do want to remind everybody that we are just $20 away at this point. It is $20 away from unlocking all of the giveaway draws for tonight. We are at $230 donated, 20 more, and we will unlock that last drawing for the Infinity stained glass pin set. All right. Very cool. Remember, hit command donate in increments of $5 to be entered to draw. And we will be drawing those just at the top of the hour as we wrap up for the night. Okay. To my panel. This set, ton of new legends in this set, ton of great cards in this set for your respective favorite formats, and just stuff that is particularly exciting to you. What are your favorite cards from this set? And keep in mind that this set encompasses the collectors, the set booster only commander cards, the commander precons, the Legends Retold box toppers, and the set itself. So all of that is fair game. Anything in this, immediately call out to you. Jake, do you have any favorites? You were mentioning some of the uncommons.
I was just about to talk about the uncommons, yo. So my first thing was, there's some crazy stuff for constructed play. The new Phoenix chick is like mono red, going into Pioneer. I cannot wait to try this. So fun. And then so much value on an uncommon, the other one I'm looking at right now is Balmor, Battle Mage Captain. Gives just everything prowess on top of prowess. Prowess is one of my favorite Pioneer decks. So they get the prowess trigger plus an extra +1 +0 and trample. It's going to be nuts. So check out my stream for it. We're going to be messing around with it. But the big one that I know my commander people were looking at in the uncommon slot is that Relic of Legends. I couldn't believe this was uncommon. I'm sorry. This just seemed really crazy because yes, 3 mana rock. We've seen this before, but being able to tap an untapped legendary, tap your commander essentially for more mana is just really cool. I think that's super neat. And again, it negates the summoning sickness because the amulet or the relic is the one with the ability, not the creature. So, I thought this was pretty busted when I saw it.
Absolutely. Shout out to friend of the channel, Mr. Bevers, who got to preview this card. An absolute banger. It's my number one card from the set as well. I think that this one's got a ton of use to it, and Wizards is doing a great job making good 3 mana rocks. More and more, I'm seeing these ones that are this is going to go in a ton of decks. Love to see it. Absolutely love to see it. Gavin, how about you? Any favorites from the set?
I got a bunch. There's a bunch that are whiffs. I'm not going to say that I like every card in the set. There's a bunch that I'm just like, but like the Red Saga, the one that's like a Pyroclasm, and then you wheel yourself, or you Winds of Fortune yourself, and then it makes you a 5/5 dragon, I think. That's just super cool. And the fact that you can like turbo it out, you can just be like, I think it's, what is it? It's 4 mana, get a 4/4 dragon. Or you can slow roll it if you want. I love building. I love like off cards that do a bunch of stuff. So that was a great one for me. What else? I like the Gix Saga as well. Same thing, does a bunch. 5 mana to reanimate a creature from someone else's graveyard. That's fine. The fact that I can slow roll it and do some other stuff as well, that's just like straight gas. And there's the big green ape shaman, Silverback Elder. So, flexibility. Whenever you cast a creature, naturalize. We on the RC, we don't expect people to have naturalizes available, to come to hand all the time. It's just not reasonable to expect people to put 10 naturalize effects in their deck. And that's why, cards like Panoptic Mirror are so problematic. And whether they are or not, that's a larger thing. But I love it when cards can have naturalize as a side effect. Fetching land, gaining life, these things. That's a great card for me. So I'm super excited for that.
For sure. I love the read ahead mechanic on these new sagas, because you can essentially cast them as a sorcery one time, but they trigger enchantment enters the battlefield, enchantments in your graveyard, or you can cast them. You can get 3 effects out of them if you know that you've got the turns where they're going to tick up like that. I think that's a fantastic evolution to sagas as a card type and as a mechanic.
I think people are sleeping on it. I think it's a lot. I haven't seen as much hype as I would expect from that read ahead mechanic. It is really good.
Yeah.
I like it a lot too. And Andrew, I know you pointed out in chat, but the art on these sagas, they knock it out of the park for these sagas each and every set. The art on them is incredible, working in different mediums. You mentioned that War of the Dragons was a wood burning, the Elder Dragon War. That's an actual wood burning.
It's crazy. Like, I saw that on Twitter floating around. I was just like, oh my God, that breaks my brain.
Right. It's fantastic. Between the sagas in Kaldheim and these sagas and just the different mediums used, I love it. I love seeing them each and every time they come back. Andrew, do you have any favorites from the set?
I was going to include the Elder Dragon War, so I'm glad that got talked about. I also really liked Ivy Gleeful Spell Thief because Mutate, I think, would be really fun with it. Mm-hmm. And I had a Mutate deck for a little bit and I had a blast with it. So being able to kind of play around with that mechanic again sounds really fun. I mentioned Bladewing or Deathless Tyrant. That one I can't wait to make. And I also think I kind of want to rebuild. I had a 5-color Niv Mizzet Reborn deck that was like a 5-color ETB guild deck, and I love all of the 5-color support stuff like Iridescent or Iridian Maelstrom. I think that one's really fun because it's one-sided board wipe, and just all of those 5-color matters cards seem really fun. And then another dragon 2-headed Hellkite also looks awesome.
That's the 5-color draw 2 cards when it attacks. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. I like seeing that they're actually putting 5-color cards in a 5-color support precon as well, because a lot what we've seen lately in modern design is that 5-color cards go on cards that are actually only 2 mana or 2 different color mana to cast, or 1 color mana to cast, like on a Sisay. The fact that we're now getting 5-color commanders that you need to pay all 5 colors in order to get that 5-color identity, I like seeing that a lot. It means you can't kind of cheat and get 5-color only casting 1. Kenrith, I'm looking at you.
Leave my Kenrith alone.
Beth, any favorite cards from the set? Anything you're excited about?
So speaking of 5 colors, I brought this up before. I'm super excited about Joda the Unifier. And can we just talk about the name of the precon for the 5-color Painbow? Yes.
Solid name.
I think outside of that, my favorite artifact is Gerard's Hourglass Pendant. It's got flash, it costs 1, and it means that if you're trying to take extra turns, you don't get them. So I love that. I think it's going to be a very powerful card. Plus, it's got a return from graveyard effect. So
yeah, absolutely. The fact that it's only 1 mana to flash in and you get all of those great effects on it, very powerful. Very.
Yeah.
I love to see it.
I think it's the first real answer to taking extra turns that I've seen that's just static and really cool. So I'm excited.
Yeah, we got like an Ugin's something else, Ugin's Nexus, something like that, but that's a 5 mana artifact. And Stranglehold as well, but that's just red. So the fact that this one's 1 mana flash gotcha for stopping extra turns, I think it's awesome. Absolutely fantastic. Clay, how about you? Anything you're looking forward to?
So much. Luckily, the 5-color stuff has actually been talked about. This has actually been one of the first sets that I've been more excited about one of the precons than the contents of the regular set. There's a ton of cards in both precons that I'm really excited for, but since a bunch of them got called out already, I just want to talk about Falaji Wayfarer. Being green to cast, but multicolored spells you cast have Convoke, and that just makes me super excited. I love playing 4 and 5 color decks. I love doing kind of the most. So this card just really makes me excited, especially with Shanid, the Mardu legendary creatures you control have Menace. When you play a legendary land or cast a legendary spell, draw a card. Mm-hmm. It's just silly, and I'm excited for those kind of cards. As far as the regular Dominaria, I think I talked about this on Twitter, but Slimefoot's Survey. It's a 5 mana uncommon, but again, I love playing 4 and 5 color decks. So with 2 triomes, I get to go get 2 triomes and then just look at the top 5 cards with Domain. That's sweet. Also, the fact I love Slimefoot. The moment that Slimefoot was previewed in our first return to Dominaria, I became a hardcore Saproling fan and have remained one ever since. And so, getting Slimefoot looking through a telescope, I don't know what the mechanics behind that are. I wasn't aware that there were eyes, really, and I don't know what's going on, but I love it. And then also, I thought this card was going to be a cycle, and it might still be throughout the next upcoming sets, but Temporal Firestorm.
Right.
I really hey, we got kicker back. That's really cool. Multicolor kicker giving options, especially going basically in a wedge, right? Where you've got the prime color, and then we can go either white or blue. If you're limited, you can splash one way or the other, or both. Flavorfully, I love the idea of 2 wildly powerful planeswalkers teaming up to just we're going to go Scorched Earth, but all of our people are going to be safe from the Scorched Earth. That's just super sick. Mm-hmm. And the most Chris card that I could think of, Vesuvian Diplomancy.
Yes. They keep putting cards in these sets that are just for me, and this is
the art's incredible. Wiley Becker is a phenomenal artist. Wiley and Dominic Mayer. I think we talked about Dominic Mayer on the Streets of Duke and Penna roundtable, but I can't remember the last time that a Magic artist basically went from brand new to being a Magic artist to having one of the most identifiable styles of art and just being in everybody's top 3, top 4 Magic artists. Just Dominic has just absolutely crushed it this last couple sets, and I am very excited to continue to see that very sharp, angular art style continue.
Yeah.
Yes, and
You're up
also
next, Andrew.
if I could get like some cards specifically like this style, I would love this color schemes is really what I'm looking for in my next set. I would love to see
Specifically.
Absolutely. Let's get
I
it
think
done.
when we go back to Kamigawa, that would be so cool for you, Andrew.
There have been so many sets where I'm just like, I'm right here.
Yeah.
Like, come on. I've been here all along.
It'll happen. It'll happen.
Yeah.
Hey, we've seen artists from the community get secret layers. So I've got no doubt it's coming. It's coming.
One day.
Yeah. Gavin, did you have something to add there?
Oh, it was actually a question for Andrew and for the folks. Like, so I don't actually know much about art. I know what I like. I can buy a painting, but creating it is just something I've never been able to have, never made the time to study. And you made a comment earlier about sort of art styles and like, you know, some of the older, really fine line art that we got on some of the legends, kind of very dated now. But at the same time, when Clay talked about, you know, some of the newer styles really jumping into popularity, you know, people have talked over the years about art becoming sort of homogenized. But is that actually a thing? Like, is the style of art that we see on Magic cards homogenized? Is there a bounce back? Is there room for more variety?
I think yes to pretty much all of that, because yes, across the board fantasy art is very, you know, similar, and it's all very like doom and gloom, realistic paintings, that kind of thing. And then I think the caveat to that is Magic, out of all the different fantasy games, is very good about injecting new art and different styles and looks into it, because you have so many Magic artists who, you know, you see their art and you immediately recognize it. You see Steve Prescott, you know it's Steve Prescott. You see Cynthia Shepard, you know it's Cynthia Shepard. Wiley Becker, like so many of these different Magic artists that they've been utilizing, some of them, you know, for quite some time, like Prescott, or even like Mark Poole and Donato Giancola, have Walker. But then you have the younger artists like Wiley. And I think Wizards and Magic are really good at keeping it fresh and not letting everything feel the same. I think you could definitely look at a Magic set, and granted, there were probably some art in the set that you look at and probably can't tell it apart from another artist, but I think Magic has the most diversity in terms of different art styles.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. So we're going to go around the table again, but I do want to let chat know again. We're just $20 off of unlocking the last giveaway at $250. That's going to be the Pinfinity pin set, and we're going to be doing some Q&A as well after I ask one more question of all of my guests here. So if you've got any questions for the panel about Dominaria United, about anything anything discussed during tonight's roundtable, please redeem the highlight my message, or in this case, the ask a question points redemption in chat. It's just going to cost you a single point, but we will then know that you've got a question for the panel here. All right, so please, if you can do that, be sure to, there we go, as demonstrated by Chris in chat. Please do that so that we can we can answer your questions. All right. Okay, panelists. I think my favorite cards were all brought up during all of your answers. Between Relic of Legends, Ivy, Gleeful Spell Thief, Vezovin Duplimancy. Like these are cards that are 100% up my alley. I love all of them. Honestly, there's a ton of stuff from the set that I'm looking forward to brewing with or building or including in the 99. Even some of the Legends Retold, like the new Tetsuo. I love him. I think he's incredibly strong. I'd love to build a higher power deck with Tetsuo at the lead there, because free spells are never broken, right? And getting to cast them over and over again. Big fan. So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that I'm going to be brewing, and I'm going to have new brews up on my channel every week for the next couple of weeks. Love to see it. But I want to ask all of you, brewing in mind, are you going to build any new commander decks from Dominaria United Legends? Yes or no? And if yes, who are you going to build? All right. Beth, let's start with you. Any new builds coming out of Dominaria United? Joda?
I think Joda will definitely have to happen. I also had some cards that I've pulled aside for decks that I already have. Like the Benelish Faith Bonder will have to go into my Adeline deck, I believe, and LSL Core will have to go into Liesa. But I'm looking at 3 new legends, Braids, Arisen Nightmare, Asti or Bearer of Blades, and of course, gotta go that 5 color Painbow. Joda is going to be doing some work for me.
Very cool. Very cool. Sounds good. I'm looking forward to seeing what people end up doing with Braids, for sure. I think it's an interesting spin on the character, but I love that art. I absolutely do. Between the stained glass and the regular art, I wouldn't be able to resist.
I've definitely built some sacrifice decks with Negan, and it's always been so mean because I just make you sacrifice, but this is going to be a little bit different.
For sure. All right. Clay, what are you planning on building anything? And if you are, what are you planning on building?
I am. However, I'm still in a backlog. I actually haven't built anything from even Baldur's Gate yet. I fell in love with Fabine from New Capenna, and I haven't really built anything since that. I just kept messing with retooling that deck. But I want to build. I already talked about Zira Arian. I want to build a deck around her. I was actually joking with a friend EK on Twitter earlier today about building her and filling the deck with creatures that when they die replace themselves with another creature to kind of lean into the flavor of the egg counter. Mm-hmm. So like, it just seemed really funny and kind of silly to me. I want to build a Jared Carthalion deck beyond the precon, mostly, for silly cards like Transguild Courier and Chromanticore and Mecha Titan. Because if you could assemble the Mecha Titan, it is 5 colors. So Jared will give it +5 or 5/1/1 counters, and you could that would just be silly and goofy. And then the last deck is I've been going back and forth on building a 4-color Archers deck, Rule 0, with Torwaki and Ohabi Caleria. So it's basically non-blue, and then if people aren't happy with it, then Saskia can always run the deck. But I've been playing with this deck for a long time, based around Catilda and Kalane, and 4-color Archers sounds even funnier to me. Like, and just like because like Torwaki's ability will trigger Ohabi, so that you can draw more cards. It's silly, and like I always die to flying creatures on stream, and it's a running joke that I just refuse to run answers for flyers. So like if I just roll up with a deck with 45 creatures that have reach, that sounds hilarious. I don't know.
If you're playing that deck on stream, let me know. I want to be there.
I'll definitely,
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds fantastic, especially when all of the Archers untap on every upkeep. I mean, like,
yeah,
real good. I was just looking at all of the Archers, and like in green and white alone, I think half of them tap to deal damage to attacking or blocking creatures. So that effect with the untap effect is plus the extra damage that Torwaki gives too. Like, it's so good. It's so good.
Yep, it's real silly.
Yeah. Gavin, how about you? Anything you're planning on brewing?
Yeah, well, so we try to always do a boxing league for new sets, which if you haven't tried it, it's super fun. Like, okay, look, it's an incredibly privileged thing to be able to do, hands down, to be able to just say, like, I'm going to buy a box and crack it for this. Now, if you're going to buy a box anyway, and I'm not always a big fan of, I can talk extensively about inner boxes and some of the stuff that Beth mentioned earlier. So that's aside. But that said, if you like sealed, Boxing League is great. Shred a bunch of packs, build a deck out of it. They're super low power. The games are amazing to and fro. So I'll definitely do that. In terms of like actual brewing around cards, though, so somehow I have a lot of decks over the years. I don't take decks apart. I know some people commit heresy and do that. I'm not one of them. Decks just they go in a box. They can be retired, but you keep them and play them. And I've had this pile of cards for a while. It's like a red-blue pile of fireball spells. Just X mana, X damage spells to people, shooting people in the face, shooting creatures that I've wanted to build. And so I think what I'm going to do is actually combine either Najal, which is the Storm Runner, which lets you cast the fireballs as instant, and also fork them at people, which is even better.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was I mentioned earlier, what's her name? Joyra, the new Joyra. And they can both kind of go as different commanders of the same deck, so I'll put them both in, and then I can play one or the other as time goes. I can use Joyra to put mana accelerants into the deck, because obviously the deck has a bunch of mana. And sort of use her as a ramp. She won't be quite as good. I think, yeah. So I'm going to try that as sort of a 2-commander deck that I can then use to flex a little bit and meet my opponents in wherever they live.
Sweet.
Very cool. Very cool. I really like that new Joyra, and I really like that we are getting. I think each color is getting two mana legends this set too, or at very least there's a lot of 2 mana legends this set as well, which I think is really interesting because we're getting a lot of really low to the ground unique effects on creatures too, and that's got my brewing hat on, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Andrew, anything you're brewing?
I'm definitely going to build Ravaz of the Claw, just because Zerilyn has been the longest running commander deck that I have. I've had it since I think 2013. Mm-hmm. So Ravaz is definitely going to get built, and I'm going to put Zerilyn in it, and I'm going to call it Claw and Sons, and it's just going to be good old Dragon Reanimator.
What kind of business do Claw and Sons run?
The fire breathing, winged, spiky, dangerous type of business.
The Claw and Sons Dragon Handlers Incorporated? Yeah. Is that it?
Yeah.
Cool.
They get called for parties a lot.
And
awesome.
you gotta get the person who does art for Oglaf. Do you know Oglaf, the webcomic?
No.
Yeah.
They're very not safe for work. But there's a running theme of weird businesses run by various mages.
Perfect. Yeah, just be burning everything, and so that's definitely going to be one I build. I also really like Balmor, the Battle Mage Captain, because I had a Niv Mizzet Perun deck that was, I called it the One Punch Perun, and it was basically just 1 mana like red pump spells, but because of Niv, it like you drew a card.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would just get Niv out, protect it, and then I would just like punch one person out of the game. And it was insanely fun to play, but it was also a storm deck, so people it got real boring to play against, so I took it apart. So Balmor, I think, might scratch that itch, but be a little bit less frustrating to play against.
Very cool. Very cool. I had a Vadrok from Midnight Hunt. Vadrik I call him Vadrik the Punch Wizard. Yeah. But he's the one who discounts spells equal to his power. And did kind of the same thing where it's here's 3 X casting cost spells that are all discounted down to 1 mana. Vadrik Astral Archmage. That's the one. Nice. And just delete somebody from the game in a single attack. So it sounds like very, very similar.
Yeah, the most commander damage I ever did with that One Punch Perun deck was 420 points of commander damage. Because I played bonus round, and then I played one of the damage doublers, the Splice onto Arcane damage doubler from Kamigawa, and a bunch of other double the power and give it trample spells. And so it was just like all of those things added up. It ended up hitting my buddy for 420 points of damage.
Very cool. Jake, how about you? Anything you're looking at brewing?
Yeah, so first off, I have a deck that I'm really looking forward to adding to. It's Halana and Elena, and it's all about legends. I love the Bard class, enchantment, the class, and it reduces, once you level it up, it can reduce the cost of a lot of legendary creatures by Gruul. And so it's just Gruul Legend. It's just so stompy, it's so beady, and I'm going to be definitely putting General Marlhart Elstragon. I got to mispronounce that. But great, because it gives all my creatures +3/+3 if they get blocked. Goes with the beating stuff. The new Rada's going in there. The new Goblin guy's going in there. So just every time that there's a new Gruul commander that I can cast for like absurdly cheap, this guy comes out for 2 mana with Bard class. It's awesome. Totally worth it. Turns a bad card into something at least usable. The one that I want to build though, talking about bad cards, it's not really that bad. It's just underwhelming in a lot of high-powered, commander scenarios a lot of times. But Tori Diavanat Fury Rider, please never invite me on stream and expect me to say the names correctly, y'all. I love this card. It's so cool. It's so just, hey, turn the stuff sideways. Kind of like Beth was saying, that old school, just how fast can you turn your stuff sideways? And the stained glass is, first of all, just really beautiful. One of my first commander decks that I built, actually, I think the first one I built from scratch myself was Tajik, the original one that had Indestructible. And I thought that was busted. I was like, oh my God, you can't kill my creature. I didn't know Exile was a thing when I started. But I just, it was soldier tokens, because you got that buff if you had a bunch of people. And this made me think of that deck. I just want to play a bunch of, tokens, soldiers, knights, whatever. Make them big, and then my red creatures get trample, my white creatures get untapped to get pseudo-vigilance, and my Boros people get both. So I just thought it was really sweet. It's a very go-wide strategy. I kind of like those low to maybe mid-power, beat down decks. They're a little bit slower, but it's good old-fashioned Magic, the way Richard Garfield intended, right? Just swinging with your stuff. It looks like a good time. So that's something I'm really excited to brew around and have some fun with.
Awesome. I know Shivam has his Tajik Soldiers deck and is just facing an embarrassment of riches with this set with all the great red and white soldiers too. So it's definitely great if you're looking to build in that archetype. Do it the old-fashioned Boros way and just turn guys sideways.
Jake, have you looked at the lore holdings for that deck yet?
I didn't even think about that. I like that.
I was laughing so hard when I thought about it after I saw the Tori card, where it's like Tori attacks, so then Augusta triggers, like tapped creatures get +1/+0, untapped creatures get +0/+1, but then you untap all the creatures you control with the trigger on the stack. So then if you have like mana shenanigans or things, you can tap, and then Tori's untap will untap your white cards. You just be like, nobody knows the stats of my creatures in this beginning and declare attacker's step.
Including me, because I'm going to mess that math up. But no, that's super fun. No, I love that. No, now I'm really interested in that. I'll definitely be including that in the 99.
Very cool. Very cool. I know I want to get my hands on IV Gleeful Spell Thief. I want to do all kinds of cool stuff, doubling up on mutate and auras and combat tricks. I think that's super cool. I just want to take advantage of making token copies of auras as well. All of the enchantress creatures that trigger on auras or enchantments entering the battlefield rather than on cast are going to be super good with this, because you're going to get a couple copies and you're going to get to draw a bunch of cards. I want to do that. I want to do that a lot. That, and I think I'm going to revisit my Orvar deck now that I can essentially have a second copy of Orvar in my decks with Vezuvin Duplimancy. And you can't stop me from making copies of things. It's 100% what I'm going to do. All right. So, hey, good news, everybody. We hit $250 in donations while we were talking. Fantastic. So we've unlocked all of our draws for tonight. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you, everybody who has donated. If you've donated in increments of $5 we will be doing a draw for the winners. And we'll be doing that draw in just a moment. We've got 2 questions from chat here for Q&A time. I think the first ones are the latest ones already been answered here. But our own Beth is asking Andrew, what's on your canvas?
And that answer is a whole lot of nothing because it's just a blank white panel. That was an aspirational thing that I did in 2020. I built a wood panel and gessoed it and was like, I'm going to do so many cool things on this. And then I haven't touched it.
Oh, that's funny. A lot of people think that a blank canvas is intimidating. And I would not disagree.
Yeah. It definitely a traditional blank canvas is. If it's a digital one, I feel a lot less pressure.
Right.
And I would even probably sketch everything out digitally first before going to that.
It makes sense. Clay wants to know what's under my hat. A whole bunch of hair is under my hat, my friend. And we've got an actual question here from Crab Baskets, our number 1 donation from tonight. Crab Baskets wants to know, if this wasn't already discussed, do you like sets like Dominaria United designed around 3 color pairings, or even 5 color like the Precon? From a design aspect, would you prefer a balance with more monocolor in mind, or do you like this multicolor approach? I know personally, I am not a fan of 3-color design because it narrows the usability of cards, especially in our format that is centered around color identity. And having a 3-color set like Streets of New Capenna followed up with a set like Dominaria United, which has a heavy 2 and 3 color focus to them, means that these cards don't get a breadth of usability, but it does mean that they fit in very, very specific decks, which is cool too. Anybody thoughts on that, Beth?
I will say from a commander aspect, it's really cool, but limited, it can be a kind of a struggle. When you're trying to draft one way and you get cards for that, and then all of a sudden halfway through you don't get any more cards in that color. So limited, no. Commander, it's great.
Awesome. Jake, how do you feel?
Yeah, I feel like very similar to all of y'all. I will say my caveat is kind of the 3 colors. There's gonna be I guess it's more about the legendaries than that. There's just so many commander options, 3-color, 2 commander. And I feel like there's sometimes a bit of redundancy in some of them. Some commanders that do the same stuff. I'm a big fan of monocolored commander decks. And so I love when you can just get a straight up, I'm playing basics and some utility lands, going. So, but I definitely think it gives, a more colors in the palette, if you will, for when you're designing your commander decks, when you're looking for commanders and stuff. And I know that's something that the community really values, is customization and being able to kind of fit what they feel. And so I'm about it. I would say I like Dominaria United a little bit more than the 3-color set of the Capenna, because there is some 5-color support there, which is kind of neat. Usually we kind of miss out on the 5 colors. We just, focus on 3s or 2s, but to actually see 5 colors supported is awesome.
Fantastic. Awesome. Andrew, how about you? Do you like the focus on multicolor versus monocolor? How do you feel about the limited usability in these cards?
I agree with Beth. I think it's great for Commander, and that's all I play. And then in limited, yeah, I can definitely see that being a struggle.
Right on. Gavin, how do you feel?
Torn. Look, Commander for most people is an eternal format, so there's no sort of set rotation. Although I do play Brawl, it's pretty cool actually. I wish there were cards that rewarded single, like monocolor, more. With WotC's tried printing some of those. It's good. I hope to see more of them. The things, I'm fine with cards that punish multicolor, the anti-domain, as it were. Especially cards that punish really expensive mana bases.
Mhm.
Actually, I wish there were more cards that were just like Price of Progress style. I'm going to beat you with your own wallet. They are fun. The multicolor sets, they happen often enough that I don't actually think they have much emotional payoff anymore. I think when they came around every sort of 4 years or so, they were like, "Whoa, man, multicolor's cool." But most years have multicolor sets now. They're not that big of an emotional payoff. I don't know. I don't think multicolor is anything particularly special anymore. It's fine. It's kind of middle of the road. It's de facto. But I do miss the challenge of building multicolor. I miss having to make decisions in order to get 3 colors, 4 colors, 5 colors, and make it work. And frankly, we just don't anymore. It's kind of disappointing.
Fair. Clay, how do you feel about this back-to-back 3-color sets, 5-color support? Good thing?
Yeah, I actually, it's funny. I like going after Gavin here because I feel like I'm on the other side of just in general stance. I think that it's really the more multicolored focus sets that we get. I'm a bigger fan of because, like I said, I like to build a lot of 3, 4, 5 colors decks. But one of my least favorite parts of it is having the all right, 5 colors. I don't want to just play the best monocolored 2-colored spells all of them that I have access to. And so when we get more and more 3-color spells, 2-color spells, then it just gives you more options to lean in. Yeah, I'm playing a 5-color deck. I want to be casting 3-color spells, 4-color spells. Mm-hmm. If I'm running a 5-color deck, but it's Path, Swords, Pongify, Rapid Hybridization, all my removals, 1 mana and single color across the color, then that, to me, for me personally, that takes away the charm of playing a multicolored deck. I want to be playing Charms and kind of silly, that kind of stuff, if that makes sense. And I think that monocolored commanders generally the tier that I play at, it feels like always have an advantage because they're just so much smoother until you get to a certain power threshold. Somebody with 36 forests and a mono green deck is going to kick my teeth in most times. Regardless of if I'm running 10 triomes and fetch lands. But I like that challenge of trying to build a deck out of what feels flavorful and multicolored. And I really liked Ikoria. I really liked New Capenna. When we were on Tarkir was some of my favorite Magic. So I don't know. I think that Wizards maybe lessening the 2-color sets might make the 3-color sets a little more impactful, like the 3, 4, 5. But it'd be really cool in 2 years if we went back to Ravnica and got a Nephilim set. But Kaldheim was ostensibly a 2-color set, but we were on Kaldheim for so short. I know we talked about it then, but not a lot of people got a feel for any of the pairings. But we're a 2-color set with utility lands that cared about the 2 colors, and so I don't know. I'm a big fan, and especially you talked about with the precon, have a 5-color precon, have 5-color creatures and 5-color sorceries, and lean into that.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right. We've come to the end of the roundtable, folks. I do thank you, everybody out there watching, and all of my panelists here. We're going to do a spin around the table, have all of our panelists once again introduce themselves and let you know where you can find them. Then we'll be announcing our draw winners and who will be rating as well. All right. And we'll go in reverse order from our first introductions. And Gavin, we'll start with you. Who are you and where can we find you?
Hi, everyone. So my name is Gavin Duggan. I am Gavin. Gavin Verhey is contractually required to have his last name attached to it. I help out with the RC. Sheldon and I formed that a little 2 years back. We run mtgcommander.net. I'm on Twitter and try to reply there to anything that is remotely reasonable. But I basically block with extreme prejudice people who are assholes. So, apologies. Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. It's great to see the support. It's great to see the donations. Thanks to everyone there. Small donations as well. It doesn't have to be big. It's great to see. So thank you.
Thank you for attending, Gavin. We absolutely love having you here, and we would love to have you back sometime as well.
Anytime.
All right. Beth, who are you and where can we find you?
Hey, my name is Beth. I'm otherwise known as the Queen of Cardboard. I stream EDH on a little channel that I like to call colloquially Chaos, Charity, and Commander, and Community, and all of that. So that's what we do. If there was 3 C's until just now there's 4. But yeah, I stream for charity and I do stuff. So that's me. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for attending, Beth. We will have you back as well. This has been great. Clay, my friend, who are you and where can we find you?
Hi, friends. I'm Claybee. I am the talking face of the CNC Power Hour. We do virtual EDH, limited content, and we do these roundtables that we do every time a new set comes out. And we've gotten to do a lot of really cool sessions and raise a lot of money for really good charities. And I just, from Chris and Andy, who are behind the scenes, and myself, I wanted to, again, say thank you to everybody in chat, everybody coming through and helping out, anybody who made a contribution or shared this on social media. Jake, Andrew, Gavin, Beth, thank you again for joining us and coming on and sharing your expertise and your experiences. Chris, I don't know how you managed to wrangle these every time and keep everybody on time and in line, but you're incredible for it.
My pleasure. And as always, we will do this again with the next set release, Clay. Andrew, who are you and where can we find you?
I'm Andrew, or Schmandrew Art. You can find me at Schmandrew Art pretty much everywhere on the internet. That's my website, schmandrewart.com. And then you can also find me under that same name on all social medias. I currently have an apparel Kickstarter going right now. So if you want to get in on that, the link is in chat. It's going really well so far, and I'm so excited to bring the worlds of my time doing apparel graphic design at Reebok and my own personal art into existence. So, yeah.
And thanks for the generous donation of 2 playmats that we'll be raffling off in just a moment as well. And thank you for attending. It's awesome to have your insights as part of this panel.
Also, if you get in on Andrew's Kickstarter, you can get one of these awesome totes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the first stretch goal that got unlocked. And fun fact, I didn't have those mocked up when the stretch goal got unlocked, so I had to scurry and draw them and make a tote bag.
Right, when it got
posted.
What was it, 20 hours?
I forget when it hit.
22
we
hours?
Funded it fully funded in the first, I think, 14 hours.
Oh, 14, it was even faster.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Awesome.
All right. And Jake, who are you and where can we find you?
Hey everyone, I'm Casual Jake. Thank y'all for having me. I've been on a few of these and I just love spending my time here. I make Pioneer and Commander content on my YouTube and my Twitch, and you can catch me on Twitter. All of those at casual_Jake_. Find me there, connect, and let's play some Magic together. Again, thanks to everyone here. And I just want to be the first to say, I know there's a blame Chris reward. I feel like there should be a thank Chris reward as well. I'm just saying. I'll start that petition.
His head's already too big. You can't.
Right. The blame Chris is the only thing keeping him in check.
It's true. It's true. It collectively keeps all of the Chris's in check, which is why it's on so many channels. So, Jake, thank you as always for attending. We love having you on these. Always, always, always welcome back. Again, for the faces that you don't see here, we've got CNC Power Hour, who's in chat and behind the scenes right now, without whom I wouldn't be able to organize these or run these. Chris is fantastic, my partner in crime when it comes to these, as well as Andy, who has put together all of the graphic work that you've seen, whether it be the promos or the fantastic layout that you've seen below us here. Absolutely integral team members, so be sure to give them a shout out in chat too. And of course, as always, folks, I'm Chris, and I'm your Commander Mechanic. It's been a pleasure hosting everybody tonight. Thank you so much for your generous donations. We have raised $250 for the Trevor Project. We got to talk Dominaria United, and now we get to give away some cool stuff. Announcing the draw winners. The winner of the Infinitokens prize pack is Rob. Only name given is Rob. There, congratulations, Rob. The first Schmandrew Art playmat winner is Mishotem. Congratulations.
Hey, let's go.
Mishotem!
Our second
yeah.
Schmandrew Art playmat winner is Hannah. Congratulations, Hannah.
Congrats, Hannah. Let's go.
The first of the DMU commander sets, commander precons rather, is Crab Baskets, our number one donator of the night. Congratulations, Crab Baskets. The winner of the second Dominaria United Commander Precon is De Crabs MDG. Congratulations, De Crabs. Two Crabs winning both of the DMU Commander Precons. Very cool. And the winner of the Pinfinity Pins is Chardspark. Congratulations, Chardspark. All right. We'll be reaching out to everybody. We'll be reaching out to confirm with the winners as well. Everybody who's in chat right now, do hang out because we are about to raid our friend Miss Eldritch. So hang out in chat. We're going to be sending you over there. But as always, folks, thank you for coming out. Thank you for taking part in this. To my panelists as well, thank you again for coming out and being part of this cause. We do appreciate it. Always a pleasure to speak with each of you. And looking forward to getting our hands on the new set. This is a celebration of Magic, and us coming together to discuss it. I think we are all super stoked. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you once again. Take care, everybody. And do stick around for the raid. 3, 2, 1.